Our next guest on UnPolitics needs little introduction. He created sporting history where India was concerned. Our next guest on UnPolitics is Mr. Abhinav Bindra. Thank you, Mr. Bindra. It's a privilege and an honor. Thank you. Do come. Welcome to welcome to UnPolitics. Come, sit, sir. Did you always want to get into shooting? Was this right from the beginning a goal?
You know, as a young kid, I actually hated sport.
You don't understand the culture of sports or athletes touching the feet of officials.
Now that you're getting
coaches.
into a touchy...
I'm quoting from your book. Is it true that you went and visited the shooting range that you shot in 2000 a year before and you created a replica of that?
So the closest I could do was hire a marriage hall down the road. And I recreated that into a shooting range and I trained hours and hours on it.
For 9 years now, you haven't picked up a rifle.
I moved on in life. Sport
Doing
taught me
what?
one thing. Sport taught me one thing, that one must live in the present moment. And, while my past was great, it is the past and those are memories.
Mr. Abhinav Bindra, thank you for taking the time out. And you have a lovely house. Thank you for entertaining us, inviting us. And we're very, very happy to have you as a guest on our podcast on politics. But as is the nature of the podcast, Mr. Bindra, I'm going to ask you, I know you need little...
So what is the podcast all about?
The podcast?
I'm curious to know.
Well, it's everything. Okay. It's, it's called UnPolitics, but it's everything. It's about you. It's about, the questions that some people might have for you. It's your outlook. It's your politics. I'm not just talking about politics, but it's, politics is everything. It's how you think.
There's politics everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
There's politics at home. There's politics in the office.
Exactly. Everything. So we're going to talk about
Life
that.
is not devoid of politics.
True that. But I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself. I know you need little introduction, but such is the nature of this show where we ask our guests to introduce themselves.
Well, I would introduce myself probably as an explorer who spent a long time of his life exploring himself on how far he could go, and I'm still exploring, I'm still learning, I'm still curious, and I'm certainly still evolving. So I'm really an explorer.
Just an explorer?
Yeah.
Nothing to do with being the first person who broke and shattered this proverbial glass ceiling of getting India an Olympic gold in individual sports. None of that.
That was an outcome, which was a happy outcome.
Of being an explorer.
But it doesn't define me. It just doesn't define everything of me. So, it's easy to label me as an Olympic champion, and I'm proud of it. And, sport has been my life and will continue to remain a big part of my life going forward, but it doesn't define the person I am. That was a great outcome that I had in my sports career, but I think the lessons that I learned on the field of play, the person I became in the process of that outcome, of winning that gold medal, is probably what defines me more. And I'm happy about the gold medal, but I'm prouder of the person I became in the process of winning that. So.
Would you do a do-over if you had to? Exactly the same way things have panned out?
Would I do something different?
No. Would you want to do something different, or would you want it to go exactly the way things have gone to?
No, I would have, I made lots of mistakes as well. It was a wonderful journey, but I would change a few things on how I went about that journey. I don't know if I would win or I would be successful, but I would certainly try and do a few things differently. I would be kinder to myself, for example. And I would just have led a life, at least my sports career life, a life which would have had more balance. And while, I did achieve a lot of goals in my life, I became an Olympic champion, I became a world champion. I think looking back, and now that we do have the luxury of looking back, I also failed. And I think my biggest failure was my inability to get the best out of myself and to really fulfill my fullest potential. And I attribute that failure of mine to a lack of balance that I had in my sports career. I know we are starting off with a very heavy
But that's fine.
way,
You know,
but
that's fine. But I find it it's a little for someone who's won an Olympic gold in India.
oh,
You know,
I
is that the
got,
camera
I got a
buzzing?
little bit concerned.
That's a seventh camera. So no, you know what to say that you failed and you would have, you know, what you said you would have done better in your career as
Yeah,
a
I think
sports
I would have had
person.
better outcomes. I was nowhere close to achieving the success I achieved. My potential was much more. I was a very good athlete in training, but I was a terrible competitor, to be honest. I was never a natural competitor as well, so I kind of had to learn my way through it. But um, to be honest, I had much more potential. And because all my eggs were kind of in one basket, I think I put a lot on the line. And for far too long in my sports career, my self worth really depended on where my name would appear on the ranking list of a sports competition. And looking back, that was foolish.
Oh, not just the pressure of it all.
No, not just the pressure of it, but you know, as I said, I don't. The Olympic gold medal doesn't define who I am. It is a part of me, but it is not the whole of me.
Fair point. So you think that you could have done better than just the
Yeah,
Olympic gold, where your
of course
career
I
was
would have.
concerned. You think
I used to break world records every day in training, but nobody gives you gold medals for winning them or breaking them in training. So, but had I had a different outlook and had I had a little bit more balance, I think I would have done better. I would have achieved more. Looking back at those 22 years, my greatest success actually came when I was a student athlete. When I went to college in the U.S. and there was only so much time I had to dedicate to sport, and there was only so much time I had to dedicate to training. And then when I finished my education, then I said, oh, now I'm going to dedicate everything to the sport. Then it kind of I thought that it would get better, but it didn't. And I think while it took me so far, it was also limiting in many ways. And I think we sometimes forget, and athletes are, I think, very guilty of that. I think we forget that, before athletes, we're human beings. And we must never forget to nurture the human before the performer. So whether it be in any field, it doesn't necessarily have to be in sport, but I think we dehumanize our pursuits way too much, and I certainly did. I have a very obsessive streak, so I was very, very obsessed with performance. I was very obsessed with my sport, and I, of course, loved it, and I loved even the obsessiveness of it. Um, However, I'm just saying that I think it limited results looking back.
you loved it. Did you enjoy it? Is a question I'll come back to. But I'm going to go right back, Mr. Bindra. How did it all start? Did you always want to get into shooting? This is what you wanted. Was this, right from the beginning, a goal for somebody who says was very obsessive about it?
Well, it's very ironic because, as a young kid, I actually hated sport.
Hated sport.
I hated sport. I was this overweight kid in school, and my only real talent in boarding school was my ability to miss physical education classes or sports classes. I used to come up with the most creative of excuses to miss them. I was unhappy in boarding school, but there was one commonality in life in boarding school was a letter that I used to receive from my father, which came in invariably every day and had one thing in common, and that was I must play sport. I didn't listen to my father, at least in boarding school, finally got out of it. Um, and I started school in Chandigarh and then was looking for pastime after school hours because now I had all the time in the world. Um, so I was introduced to my first coach, who unfortunately just passed away last week. I went to my first shooting session with the late Colonel Dillon, and I fell in love with this sport because to be somewhat successful in it, all I had to do was stand still, and there was no running around needed. So that was the entry point. But of course, to be successful, that weakness had to be turned into a strength, which it did eventually. But that was the start. That was the start into the sport of shooting. Of course, I loved it. I loved the nature of it, the individual nature of it, the solitary nature of it, the very fact that you had to kind of learn to you had to own your successes and you had to own your failures, and that was fascinating as a young kid and a young boy, and I just felt that was a way I could make a name for myself.
Why guns? Was there a fascination for
Yeah, as a
guns or
young
nothing?
boy, I mean, growing
Yeah?
up on a farm in
That's why.
in Dehradun, my father had a few guns of his own. So just seeing him clean them once in a while, there was always, as a young boy, you're always fascinated to them.
What age did you first pick up the gun?
12.
12? With your dad's guns, I would
Oh yeah,
assume?
maybe even earlier. That one of my favorite gifts in school as a young kid used to be a toy gun. So,
Okay. So there was always a
but
sense
at
of.
12 or 13 was when I was introduced to my first coach, and that's when I started the sport. But before that, of course, there was a fascination as a kid towards having a toy gun. That was my favorite birthday gift.
You're fairly diligent because, we did chance upon that letter that you wrote to your coach, and I'm sorry that and we did see the tweet, and it's a little heartening also to acknowledge, those who've helped build a career.
Of course,
because it's not just your career alone, I think. Everyone's a
Not
bit
at
of a
all.
stakeholder in that.
Absolutely. There's
So,
so many people involved
yeah,
in an athlete's life.
exactly.
And they end up being the unsung heroes.
Exactly.
But
I
they
think-
have a massive role to play, each one of them. I mean, coaches, support staff, the parents, the family. I think they endure even more than the athlete at times, because, the athlete is kind of there, but for all these people to continue to show hope in an individual when the individual himself or herself is feeling hopeless at times, it takes a lot of courage. And I'm indebted and I'm grateful to each one of them.
It's also rare acknowledgement. You don't see it very often, with sports persons. But I'm glad that you said it for what it was, and it was heartening. And I'm sorry, for your coach's loss. But I want that letter that you wrote to your coach, asking him to coach you
Yeah.
at 13 years. That was very diligent,
Yeah.
and very meticulously put down by a 13-year-old, urging someone to take him and coach him. You don't see that kind of language coming in. Did your dad made you write it, or it's
No,
something
it
you
was all
wanted to
me.
do?
I don't even think my parents knew that I was going to write to him, because we were
Really?
really trying to get hold of Colonel Dillon, and he was just avoiding me.
Okay.
And a common friend, Rana Sodhi, was a politician. You may know of him. He was trying to arrange this meeting. And yeah.
Was that letter that convinced him?
Yeah, because Colonel Dillon thought that people from a relatively well-to-do background have just no ability to work hard. That was his theory. And they say because he had seen a few athletes who had come to him or wanting to do well, and it was just a fleeting sort of hobby and interest which died down after the first failure came in. So he was pretty convinced early on that this is just another person wanting to spend maybe his summer break doing something, and that's where I decided to write to him and really kind of promise him that I'm going to give my best, and then
Were you a diligent student?
Yes, I was. That is what I'm proud of. Those are the elements of my sports career I'm proud of. I think work ethic was something that I pride myself in my sports career. That I would my ability to show up every day, no matter what. The days when I didn't want to wake up, but pushing myself to go out there and train. The days when I was down and out, because failure was a big part of my career as well. To push myself and get myself back on the saddle to keep going, and just the relentless pursuit. I think that was my talent. I wasn't gifted naturally. I wasn't necessarily gifted with athleticism or competitiveness or even good eyes. But that was my.
You don't think you were a gifted athlete?
Not at all. It was
talent. Perseverance and
my talent was my ability to work hard.
Okay.
And my talent was
That's also rare acceptance. Very few people, at least
to persevere
athletes, accept that.
and to keep going. I was very bloody-minded in my pursuit.
But then the sheer fact, Mr. Bindra, are you underselling yourself where you say that you weren't really naturally gifted? Because at 15, being one of the youngest or the youngest to go to Commonwealth Games and represent the country, one never really saw that. So It had to be a bit of both.
I don't think I'm underselling, but yeah, I think it was just hard work. I mean, even as a 12, 13-year-old boy, I started training under a mango tree in Colonel Dillon's house. That was what was available in this country back then, and it was the summer of 94, 95, when 40 degrees, wearing that shooting equipment and sweltering it out in the heat and going there after school. Coming back from school at 1:30, and by 2 o'clock I was on the way to Colonel Dillon's home, and I would spend the next 3-4 hours every day training. So it was just hard work.
Let me ask you this. Did you have much of a childhood? Of growing up, of a 12, 13? Because at 15, if you're
I don't
representing
think
India
I
at the
had a regular
Commonwealth.
childhood. I think I wouldn't call them sacrifices that I had to make. I would just call them choices that I made, and choices that I made quite early on in life. And of course, I did not have a regular childhood. I wasn't able to spend enough time with friends. I wasn't able to do the regular thing kids did after school. So all of that wasn't part and parcel of my life. So if you want to call it regular or irregular, if you want to label it, please do. But that was just the choice that I made, and that was just something, yeah.
It was
that
well
I
worth
did.
it in the end.
Of course, I think, as I said, it was a wonderful, wonderful journey that I had with so many interesting moments. Of course, there was success. Of course, there was the outcome which was achieved. But it is really looking back, and kind of we are looking back. I don't look back at my sports career, at those medals that I won and the gold medal that hangs on the wall at home, or I look back at those 22 years of my sports career.
Do you hang
really.
the medal at home?
It is somewhere in there. But I look back at my sports career at the relationships that I was able to build. The
But
relationships.
somebody who was so obsessive with winning, not winning, but obsessive with the sport of doing well.
No, I was obsessed with winning, but, after a while, after lots of failure, I was also very detached from outcomes. And maybe that detachment is a reflection of what
And
I
the
feel strongly
detachment came from
against.
the fact that of doing exceedingly well in practice, and then when it came down to it, not being able to perform as much.
No, I think
to power.
detachment came from failure.
Okay.
When, I think up until the games in 2004, I was obsessed with results. I was obsessed with wanting to win a gold medal at the Olympic Games. And then the gold medal didn't come. And Athens was a hard experience for me. I had broken an Olympic record in the qualification competition, went into the final in third place. And to be very honest, to be able to win a medal that morning or afternoon in Athens in 2004, I had to shoot 10 very ordinary shots. I just ended up shooting the 10 worst shots of my life. A few days later, it was known that the floor I was standing on had a loose tile underneath, which kind of reverberated every time I picked up my rifle. And in a sport which is all about stability and millimeters, it was hard and impossible to really perform. So that experience left me bitter. And that experience left me heartbroken. But that experience also evolved me in many ways. I changed, and the biggest change that I had was my outlook. My mindset changed. From being so obsessed with results, I became completely detached with results. And I completely became detached from the outcome, and I was completely consumed by the process. For me, the process became its own reward. And it was really about giving my best every day and pushing myself every day. From that day on, the Olympic Games didn't come once in 4 years for me. They came every day. That was a big change.
Did it bother you because you went in, in Athens, which was 2004, you went in right up to the finals as in the third slot. And then, yes, you're right, I think, your final shot was possibly one of the worst, of what your performance was. And then, to have newspapers, you'd have the media say, oh, he just cannot deal with pressure. He cracked under pressure. Did you hear all of that? Did it get to you at some point?
Well, before I heard what the newspapers had to say, because that was obviously printed the next day, I met my mother. And I met my mother 10 minutes after this Olympic final when my world had come crumbling down. And my mom
Did
told
you
me.
cry?
I was ready to cry. Of course, I cried, but not 10 minutes after in public gaze. We are good actors as well, the athletes. We have to show this bravado, but all I wanted
Yeah.
to do was go to the bathroom and cry, and sure enough, I did. But when I did meet my mother 10 minutes after that Olympic final, my mom told me that the most I could have done that day was win a bronze medal or a gold medal or a silver medal. But she said, "You, my son, are going to win a gold medal, and you're going to win a gold medal in 4 years' time." And in 4 years' time, that
You
did
did?
come true, and I learned 4 years later never ever argue with a mother's instinct ever again. But I was always surrounded by positivity. I was always my parents, my family created a very psychologically safe environment for me. Failure was never looked down upon. It was not. My parents suddenly didn't love me more if I won a medal at a sports competition. They loved me for who I was. My sister loved me for who I was, and just
So
my
you were
coaches.
as hard as on yourself that you were of your own volition. Nobody else. No pressure
Yeah.
otherwise.
I mean, at home, it was about doing your best. It was about sport is a human pursuit, and it is about trying to give your best, and as long as I did that, I think everybody was happy around me, and that is how I earned the respect of coaches. I earned the respect of my support staff as well, and for everybody, that was the most important factor. And of course, we were after an outcome. I'm not saying that now I became some saint.
2008, you've also said it a couple of times, was redemption of sorts. But I'm going to just break track here. You talk about your mum, coming out and telling you that, okay, it's not a bronze, but a silver, you're made for gold.
Yeah.
You also, have spoken very, I think, once about while traveling in Europe, meeting a fortune teller who made some money off you. Did she tell you or he tell you that you were going to win a gold?
Or possibly, I mean,
Yeah?
no, I don't know about the fortune teller, but I do remember some experience of. I think it was probably even in India or something like that.
They told you that you'd win. Did you go? Were you the kind who'd say that, okay,
No. I think this was a fortune teller I went to with my coaches when they had come over after I won. At
after
the
you
hotel, in Rajasthan, you
Oh,
have
like
those.
that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
Then I think it's the research is wrong that we had.
No, I wasn't too much. I'm too analytical to be able
be-
to.
So
The only one who I believe in is my mum, as you see, right? I'm not an easy believer. I found it hard to believe in my own self. So if my mother
that's
said
hard to
something,
believe that you didn't believe in yourself.
no, but that is true. My biggest challenge in this sport was it was a lonely pursuit, but my constant companion in these 22 years of my sports career was self-doubt. I was assailed by self-doubt. I was assailed by anxiety every time I went to a competition, and that was my biggest challenge. And I was never able to overcome it, but I just learned to coexist with it. And
How do you deal with the anxiety? It's a lonely sport as well. It's not a team
Yeah.
sport. All eyes are on you.
think
Emotions
the-
have to be very restricted.
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
tough.
bad shot. You can't. It's not. You can't flay your gun. You
It
can't
is
do any
tough.
of that.
It is very tough.
Everything has to be so
Yeah.
controlled.
Yeah, and it's not natural because you have it's a sport where you suddenly have a lot of adrenaline because
Yeah.
competition starts and suddenly you're standing, your heart rate with 60 beats per minute, and as soon as competition starts, the heart rate's at 170, and it's a kind of a controlled panic attack of sorts, and then you can't even move. So it's a lot about self-control. But I think the key here is the ability of the person to coexist with pressure, not try to overcome it, not try to run away from it, because I think that's what human tendency is, that you want to get rid of it, you want to overcome it, but in reality you will never be able to overcome it. There will always be pressure, and the ability to stomach it, the ability to coexist with it, I think comes from acceptance of it, and accepting, yes, there will be self-doubt, the acceptance that there will be pressure, acceptance that this is going to be an uncomfortable 2 hours. But the moment you stop resisting it and this acceptance comes, I think you just have a better ability to orient your mind to the here and now, and then you're kind of able to then go back into the process and of executing the skill that you have trained for thousands and thousands of hours.
going to come to 2008, but is it true that you went and visited the shooting range that you shot in 2000 a year before, and you created a replica of that?
No, I couldn't create a
Did
replica
that? Or
of
close
it.
to it?
Oh no, I have even a better story here.
Which is?
But I'm going to get myself into trouble. The Beijing shooting hall was a massive space. It was one of the first times that the Olympic arena in shooting in my event had a spectator capacity of 15,000 people. So the shooting hall, as we call it, or the range, was this massive space, which is almost impossible to recreate now. I couldn't recreate a 15,000 person arena to train in.
So you went there a year in advance.
You can't. You have a test event, but you can't really get training opportunities. The Chinese would not give that to you, so no chance of that happening. But that had a major impact. Could have had a major impact on performance because your ability to find your spatial awareness has a direct impact on body balance. So the closest I could do was hire a marriage hall down the road. And I recreated that into a shooting range, and I trained hours and hours on it. That's the closest I've come to any sort of marriage, by the way. And that's the
Oh Lord, that was one of my questions. We'll come to that.
Yeah, see, I told you I'm going to get myself into trouble.
No, so you created a shooting range
Yeah.
in a marriage hall, very close.
Normally the shadi ghars are big, right? They're big halls.
Yeah.
So that was the closest I could find.
But is it true, or again, because I'm told that you even painted the walls exactly the way the Beijing shooting range arena was.
Absolutely.
Same color. What was
color.
the color?
Green.
Green, a bright green.
No, green was Rio because I recreated it for Rio.
Okay.
I think Beijing had these wood panels, so I had wooden panels.
You had wooden panels.
Yeah, on the background.
So it would be like you're walking into the same place every day. Was it that?
As close as possible.
As close as possible.
It's not going to be the same, but you try and build anchors in that environment, which will hopefully calm you down, and that is what I try to do.
So the whole visual impact of it wouldn't be something new for you as well, because you would be.
I mean, this was I will give you more stories, more interesting stories.
And I'm finding it a little difficult to believe. So what did they ever use it as? Was it a theme-based marriage hall?
No, they said, I'd sent somebody.
You rented it out for a year.
So they said, "वो shooting करने जाते." They thought it was the film shooting. For a long time, I think that was my acting career.
You rented it out.
Yeah, of course.
For a year, and every day.
Not for a year, but at least for
your training period.
Correct. But you're talking about this whole recreation of Beijing. I was very obsessed with technology and the ability to go into details. So visualization is something very important. You could imagine the sport.
No, I know
like
you
shooting.
mapped your brain as well.
Yeah, but I'll tell you the story of my samadhi tank. You know what a samadhi tank is? A float tank where you are basically weightless because you have 200 kgs of Epsom salts, little bit of water. But and that is very good for visualization, primarily because you're weightless, you're not defying gravity, so your mind suddenly has this space. It's not engaged in fighting gravity. But I didn't just visualize just that ways. The University of Munich at that time had developed a prototype of virtual reality glasses. The Apple glasses, which are that sort. And then I recorded the Beijing shooting hall, and then I spent maybe 200 hours over a period of time, not in a row, but 200 hours in the samadhi tank, visualizing being in Beijing and shooting and this, that, and the other.
Mr. Bindra, that's a little nuts.
Yeah. It was obsessive.
That is obsessive. That's a different level of obsession.
Yeah, I fully agree.
But no,
We're
it
just
paid
getting
off.
started.
What more? I know you mapped your brain.
Yeah, I mapped my brain. So many things.
Yak milk.
Yak milk. Ammunition.
Does it work?
Did you? I don't know. I mean, I did so many things. I don't know what actually worked.
No, see, that's the problem.
That's the problem.
If you could have actually come up with a
business
to-do
idea.
list.
Good business idea.
A to-do list. This is what you need to do. This is all fakery. This is what this works.
I mean, ammunition used to be so important, and the Chinese used to. I'm going to get myself in trouble. The Chinese used to manufacture the best ammunition at that time. The Chinese never sold it to anybody else. So I kind of got a friend in Hong Kong to get me some ammunition from the Chinese one. Then we repackaged it into a different brand of ammunition. And I kind of had to smuggle it out of China and smuggle it into India.
How
And I
do you do
became a
that?
smuggler.
That's illegal, you know.
No, it's not illegal.
It's
I
not
found a
illegal.
loophole.
Okay, we won't be.
Don't put me in jail now.
No,
I
I'm
mean,
not
I did
saying
it.
anything.
It was all for
Okay.
national interest.
Okay, fine. Yeah, all for national interest. I think that works. Anything for national interest. Okay, so then 2008.
You want to know more
Yeah,
stories?
sure. I think I'm quite fascinated.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I was.
So you were a method actor or a method player.
I was crazy. There were so many things that mapped my brain. What
What
else?
came out of that?
No, it was very interesting because I mapped 32 areas of my brain.
So a
I didn't
certain
know-
area lit up every time you performed well.
Or certain areas lit or
Off.
quietened.
Yeah.
Because you need a quiet state. So then you could recreate it into get into that state of mind through technology and things like that. Then what is an interesting story? Yeah, the interesting story, I told you I was this fat little chubby boy. And, I did a lot of work on fitness. But I had this greatest challenge that I was not able to get rid of my love handles. Okay, and I did everything possible, every diet, every sort of exercise, but the love handles never went. I lost fat everywhere else, but the love handles simply didn't go. And
Are they an impediment?
yeah, because you rest the top of your elbow rests on the top of your hip, and if you have love handles there,
Oh, that's why you hated the Chinese.
It'll create a little bit of a bounce, and so what I did was I got my love handles lasered off.
How do you do that?
I went to Australia. There was a procedure that was available at that time. You could laser off the fat. So I got that done.
That could do really well in the aesthetic industry.
Yeah, see.
so you lasered your
Yeah,
love handles off.
yeah.
Okay. And
No, I mean it was really when I got obsessed with the process. It was all about
sports
going-
dentist.
Yeah, sports dentist as well. See, you remember more than me.
Yeah.
It was really about breaking my sport down into every little detail, and then really perfecting the mental part, the physical part, the technical part, and trying to look at innovation, trying to get the best I could, to get the most out of myself, to look at that 1% edge that I could get over others, and it was a fascinating journey, but it was consuming. Because it really pushed me to the very limits. The journey between Athens and Beijing was tough because I was so consumed and it took so much out of me. I could not do it again. I could not get into that
That zone
level
again.
of detail. I think the closest I came after that was my pursuit in Rio. But it was just tough to carry on in this insane way of going into every detail and wearing a denture at age 25 just because it'll get you a little bit of a better range of motion for your neck. That was the sports dentist who aligned the upper and my lower side of my jaw to allow this better range of motion for my neck.
Mr. Bindra, so 2004 was when what was reported was that Abhinav cracked under pressure. And 2008 was, he's just won the gold, he just didn't smile enough. That's what was like, he was just so calm.
Yeah, I didn't care. My goal.
You didn't care?
My goal in the Olympics in Beijing was not to win a gold medal. My goal in Beijing was to be present. My goal in Beijing was to live in the moment. I had 70 competition shots in that Olympic competition, and
But the stage was set in 2004 for 2008, right?
Yeah, it was progress. I think 2006 was a defining moment as well because I won the World Championships,
Right.
and that was a big deal, especially coming out of that
You were the first Indian to
unfortunate
ever do so.
loss in Athens, if you were to call it that. It was leading up to it.
Did you know you'd win? Well, sometimes you just know.
Before I went to Beijing, I looked myself into the mirror, and I asked myself a question, and the question was, could I have done anything more in the last 4 years to prepare for the Olympic Games, Beijing 2008? And the answer was no. I could have done absolutely nothing more humanly possible to give myself the best possible chance of being at my best. And before I shot my first competition shot in Beijing, at that Olympic Games, I had already won. I had already won in front of my own eyes because I had gained my self-respect.
Do you think
And,
that's what let the pressure off a bit?
the pressure was still there, but it just
It didn't impact you as much.
I was just very self-assured. No matter what the outcome, I would still have my internal pride. And athletes, what we look for is more. Of course, we look for victories. We look for the gold medal, but in the time we introspect, what we're really looking for is an absence of regret. And there was no regret because I had done everything that I possibly could.
But Mr. Bindra, what if you
to-
hadn't won? Then there would have been regret, right?
I mean, there would have still been pride. I mean, I don't know how I would have dealt with because it's a hypothetical question, and I'm glad that it did work out. But
Aren't we all
for my
glad?
sanity, but yeah.
You
but-
think it would have pushed you to the brink if it hadn't?
I mean, you learn. You would. I'm sure I would have learned to deal with it. I mean, it would have been disappointing. I mean, nobody wants
That's
to
an understatement, but yeah.
lose, but it is what it is. And as athletes, we learn to deal with failure. I think sport is really an art about learning to fail well. And that's what
When you
my
d-
life was really about failure. Everybody does talk about a couple of
Why do you
victories.
say that?
Because I failed much more than I succeeded. I lost much more than I won.
How is that? You were the world champion in 2006,
those
the
are
first Indian to
two
do so.
events. You're talking about two
2008,
events.
you go. The sheer fact. No, Mr. Bindra. No. I just want to put this in perspective. You're sitting in 2025, right? And we're interviewing you because you were the first. Not just because. We've only had two, which is you and which is Neeraj, and that's it. So the enormity of that event was immense.
No, I'm glad. I mean, it was a matter of great pride. I think I was.
Now, how
I
do you
was
call
very
yourself
taken
a
ab-
failure
I
then?
was
It's
very
just-
taken aback by the reaction of people. Actually,
You changed the trajectory not just of Indian sport at a level, but shooting, for example. The kind of interest people started taking in shooting.
No, I think if I were to look back at an achievement, or what this gold medal did was, I think, change self-belief. It changed the belief of the Indian athlete because up until then, I think athletes used to go to the Olympics, just be happy competing at the
True,
games.
you broke a barrier, I agree.
And I think from one day to the other, every Indian athlete suddenly wanted to win a gold medal at the Olympics. And, they were just aiming much, much higher. And there was a sense of belief that it can be done. And I think that was something, that is something I can smile back on.
And the interest in shooting today. Look at the kind
it's
of
unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, when I took part in my first nationals, across 15 shooting events, we had about 200 competitors. You go to a
10,000.
nationals and out more than 10,000. I think the latest numbers were some 15, 16,000 people. So
And you have, I think, not a huge part. You have I would think it's practically just you which kickstarted that.
No,
It
I
is.
think
It is.
everybody
You
has
don't
a
need to
role
take
to
credit
play.
for
I
that.
think
No, that's not
everybody
true.
does.
It is. You said it started off with 200, and then suddenly look at where we are standing.
No, I think we've had success. So yes, I did have a role to play. I will acknowledge myself. But I think there were many athletes also who Colonel Rathore won a silver medal in Athens. We've had success post my victory. We won 3 medals in shooting in London.
He did name you as someone who's going to go ahead and win the gold. So that's also.
Yeah, and then we had a couple of quiet Olympics, but I'm glad that we did reasonably well in Paris.
I'm going to. Before that, I want. So 2008, when you won that, very controlled. There was. The emotions
See, I
were
think,
very restricted.
there
What did you
was-
do? I just want to know what happened later.
I was not controlled. See, there was detachment, right, from the outcome. My goal was to shoot the 10 best shots I could in that
which you
Olympic
did.
final, which I did.
Uh-huh.
I didn't even realize that I won because
You
I
didn't realize that?
No, I had to ask my coach that.
What did your coach say? You should have.
Yeah,
You,
she
the
raised
coach.
her thumb, and I didn't really understand what this thumbs up meant.
Thumbs up meant 1, 2.
But I don't know now.
So
So thumbs up meant I thought I'd won a medal, but then it took me a few seconds to realize that I won a gold medal. But then,
what did you do that night?
I went to dinner. It was a very boring dinner, but I went to dinner with 3 friends of mine. It was Manisha Malhotra, who was running the Mittal Champions Trust at that time, and a great supporter of mine. She's still very involved in sport.
With Neeraj, we saw her there.
Correct,
Yeah.
absolutely. So she was there. There was Manavjeet Singh Sandhu, who shot trap at the Olympics at the Olympics, and there was my Amit Bhattacharya, who was my long-time teacher, who kind of also traveled with me and also helped me psychologically. So he was in Beijing, so we went to dinner, and there was Manisha's mum as well. So 4 people for dinner. It was.
What did your mum say?
My parents became so famous. It was hard. It took 3 hours to get hold of them. Yeah, because it was swamped by
media
journalists
circus, yeah.
and this. And you know, I remember my first conversation that I love dogs, and you know, I was so tired of this after 4 hours of this whole thing. My first question to my parents was, "How are the dogs?" It was. I just wanted normalcy back quite quickly.
But that's, the dichotomy of it. You'd worked all your life, that's what, for a moment such as this.
No,
Maybe
of
you
course.
hadn't, but it was a
I mean,
byproduct of it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I could have done something different, but I mean, it was just the way I was.
Too nonchalant for some, okay, but okay.
It is who I am. So that was how my reaction to it was. And sometimes, it's also an anticlimax. Sometimes, you reach the top of the mountain and
Okay, was this it?
and there's nothing there.
Really?
No, I mean, I was thrilled. It was the thrill of my life. I mean, for 15 years of my life, I would go to bed with one dream, and then every morning wake up to make that dream come true.
Let me ask you this. Because of what you went through, the pressures, the anxiety, what you put yourself through, is it because what we've seen very often from you have the sports person's back? And we've seen that very often. Do you understand what a sports person is going through or what an athlete goes through?
I just think I'm an empathetic person. I think that empathy comes from my own experiences. And
you draw it from your own experience.
Absolutely, and my own experience in sport. And I think, I'm very moved by the sports world, the athlete community. I think the whole sports movement is a sports movement which is built on solidarity, and it is that camaraderie that athletes share. I think it's a rare commodity in today's world, and if us athletes don't show it for each other, then who will? And that is why I feel it is important for me, and I show up for them, and I don't. I mean, it's not that I show up every time, that something happens, but sometimes when I do feel something is important or something that is important to me and is I do speak up.
No, I agree, because you considered quite a recluse, and but you are.
It's fine.
But you do show up when
it's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. I actually agree, it's not a bad thing. I think it's a damn good thing. But you show up when it matters. And, it's happened on various occasions, and we've seen you sometimes where it might not be very comfortable, a stand to take, you do take that stand. And it seems to, now when I speak with you, come from a point of what you went through yourself, where you understand, it's empathy derived from experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where you understand what they're going through, and that's why...
It comes from my deep within my heart and something that I truly believe in.
Do you also believe that, where India is concerned, things are, of course, getting better, and, where sports is concerned, but most athletes succeed despite the system?
Well, I think, this is
things have gotten a lot better.
100%. And I think sport is in a good way. I think the amount of support that is coming to elite athletes is fantastic. I think where credit is due must be given, and the government has done a fine job in doing that, supporting athletes of the high at the elite level. I think what we need to put a more effort in, and that is a collective effort that all sections of society need to really put their heart and mind to it, is build a culture for sport in this country. And I think we still are far away from that, while there is progress which has happened because we are a young demographic. The consumption of sport, whether more Indians are either playing more sport or at least watching more sport, that is at an all-time high. But what we really need to see happening is we need to increase the playing population of this country.
Yeah, we need to build a more conducive sporting culture.
It is but we have to look at sport not just from a nature of a transaction. I think our relationship with sport has been too transactional, and we see sport as a way where athletes are there, we support the athletes, and then they win medals, and we feel proud, and All of that is good and all of that is important. But I think sport can play a very meaningful role in nation building. And I think we need to see sport from a much larger lens. We have a very young population, but we may not be the healthiest population either. And the role sport can play in making India healthier, not just physically, but also mentally, can be immense. So we have to use the power of sport for various aspects, whether it be nation building, whether it be education. All what I've talked about so far today is what sport taught me, the values that it imbibed in me, the journey that I went through, and the values that I was able to imbibe through it. Every young Indian should be able to do that, and you don't need to go and compete at the Olympics to be able to imbibe those values. Just by playing any recreational sport and the time you spend on the field of play, it does a lot to your character development, and it builds you for life. It gives you the greatest life lessons. So the role sport can play in education is massive, and we must start looking at that much more carefully. Gender equality, when our girls and when our women athletes win medals, they break glass ceilings. They give confidence to women, and there's research which shows that when young girls play sport, they just end up being more confident, and that plays a part in anything they do in life. But to achieve all these things, we really need to go down to the grassroots. We need to make sport more accessible. And that is where I would love to see more effort being put in. This is a long drawn process. It can't happen overnight. Cultures, you can never create a culture overnight. But I think the work that we put in the next 10 years at the school level is where I feel is the biggest gap. And I sincerely hope that, there is more effort that is put in, just the simple things, just the availability of playgrounds for young kids. There's a massive deficit. Physical education teachers. The lowest person in the hierarchy of a school system is the PE teacher. The PE teacher in our society or in our school system is looked down upon. Young kids need to look up to them and not look past them. If you look at a mature sports society, if you go to the US or you go to the UK or you go to Australia, when you enter a school or you enter a college, who is the most popular person in school? It is the sports teacher or the coach, as they refer them as. So these are things where I'd like to see more effort which would put in. And a consequence of that effort will be we will have more success at the elite level. But if we just have a top-down approach, it will get us results, and we have seen our performances increase, no doubt about it. But I think it will also be limiting. That we will reach a point where that's it. I mean, if you put your investment in 200 athletes, how many will end up winning medals? It's not going to be 200 out of 200 who will come back with Olympic medals. It's only a 10-20% chance that a person wins a medal at the Olympics. So that is where I'd like to see more effort that goes in.
Some states do have an inherent culture,
Of course.
Haryana,
for example,
with wrestling,
massive.
akhadas everywhere.
It's wonderful. And that is a lesson
and you can see
for
it.
everybody.
And you can see the bottom-down approach. You can actually
It's a
see
community.
the bottom-up approach.
The community, where as soon as communities take up a sport, that is when sport becomes successful. So.
No, I agree. So India as a country, we've got what, 2 individual Olympic goals. One is you, the other one is Neeraj. Do you see how different the both of you are in terms of personality, in terms of course, your sports are very, very different as well. But, we were talking to Neeraj the other day, and the fascination that he has for you is quite amazing, of you being the one who got the first medal. And you gifted him a dog, Tokyo?
Yes, Tokyo, yeah.
What made you do that?
Because I know common friend Manisha, I know that he was looking for a dog. And then I didn't really know what to give him. And then I know I'm a dog lover, so I thought that was something.
And to name him
that
Tokyo,
would be
so cute.
When there's so much chaos around you, I think having a dog is the best friend that you can ever have. So
you've got a few yourself?
I have 6 of them. Yeah.
That's nice. Also, of course, gifting him that little puppy, and then when he lost the gold and he got a silver, and you went and tweeted out in support and praised what was, where there were lots of polarizing narrative across. You actually praised the Pakistan counterpart, saying, well done, because that's the beauty of sport.
That is absolutely the beauty of sport, and I think, well done to the Pakistani athlete. He was fantastic on that day to throw, I think, 90 meters a couple of times, I think twice or thrice. He was the best man on that particular day.
And it was redemption for him as well, because he came in from a round before the previous Olympics, where he
Yeah, I mean, that is
pretty
the
much
beauty of
crashed
sport,
out.
and that is the beauty of sport, and that is how, we must look at sport that way. I don't think we should bring politics into sport. We shouldn't, draw.
Politics is always in sports.
Unfortunately, it is the reality, but, but coming back to Neeraj, I think he did a fine job in Paris. I think being defending champion is never easy. It's always tough, especially when you have 1.4 billion people expecting another gold medal. I could
The
well
pressure of
imagine
it.
the pressure that he
Did you feel it in Rio, though?
in London, and I failed miserably in London. It was my worst ever Olympics, and of course, it's not easy. It's not easy to deal with that situation. And I think Neeraj did an amazing job to come back with back-to-back medals. It's not a joke, and it's full credit to him and massive respect for what he has achieved.
Abhinav, what made you come in support of our women wrestlers when they were sitting in protest at Jantar Mantar, which
Well-
many would have thought is politically incorrect to do so?
As you said, there's politics everywhere. I mean, the whole matter, of course, unfortunately, became politicized. But I supported them out of just simply being another athlete, out of empathy. And I think safeguarding is a big topic in sport at the moment, not just in India, but worldwide. And I think it needs to be dealt with a great amount of sensitivity, and which unfortunately back then that was the thing that was missing. I think the whole matter was so politicized, and I think that just made everything worse. But I just I supported them in the sense of being there as a fellow athlete. I didn't say somebody's right or somebody's wrong. I was just simply there for the human being who was. I was pained to see their plight, and I think every Indian, to be
I
honest,
agree.
was, and yeah, that is what forced me to do it. And I couldn't go to sleep one night when I saw the whole. I think that was.
They're being dragged.
I had tweeted when the police.
Yeah, they dragged them. Yeah.
I couldn't sleep the whole night, and I just felt bad as an athlete, and I just simply. I mean, that is the least I could do. I couldn't do anything more. I mean, what more can I do in a situation like that? I can't.
But no, at that point of time, many
it is
sports
just-
persons did not speak up. There was you, and then there was Neeraj, who
Which
came
I
out
mean,
and lent support.
yeah.
And that was just the both of you. And I think that is tremendous, because you spoke up for what you thought was correct, and you did that. What are your thoughts of Vinesh going in for the next Olympics? She said
Which
she's
is
ready
great.
to
I
go.
think I went and met her the
I
day
know, those
after.
visuals were beautiful.
Yeah, I went
actually.
and met her, and
She was broken, huh?
She was absolutely broken, and I was quite sure that she wouldn't want to meet me. I mean, I went there, I bought a bouquet of flowers, and I showed up at the Olympic
You
Village.
just showed up. Did you must have said that I'm coming.
No, I just showed up at the Olympic Village, and then I went to the Indian team area, and then I requested the chef de mission or the deputy that I would like to say hello. But even if she is not wanting to say, which is absolutely fine, just send
The flowers
these
up
flowers,
to
and I
her.
had written a little card for her, and that was enough. But she did come down, and it was we just spoke. We just spoke as two athletes, and it was just it was heartbreaking, of course, to see her in that situation, and for coming so close, and
Yeah.
but that's life, and then sometimes everything's it doesn't go as you want them to go, and I was just being there in solidarity. I mean, what could I even say to her at that time? I didn't even say much. I didn't know what to say to her.
What did you say?
No, it was. I think we didn't really talk. We talked about it. We talked about the unfairness of life.
Well, that could be more apt for her with what she'd gone through.
So it
which
was, I
is-
mean, but it was more a philosophical talk. I mean, what can
What can you
what
say?
can I
What
say?
can you say?
What
I
can you
know.
say at that juncture? So it was just a matter of just showing up, and that's it.
But that was also,
it was just for a few minutes.
why I
and-
say, no, I get what,
but I just felt that urge that I must go and do it. And as I said, I had no, I was convinced that she wouldn't want to meet. If I was in her place, I wouldn't have probably come down. But she did, and I'm grateful that she did. And, she did come down from her room because she wasn't wanting to meet anybody. And I fully understand and respect that.
No, I remember that picture as well, which was, it lent a lot of heart, which I thought was missing at that point of time, because there was this whole side and section that came out to attack Vinesh in the form that, that they did. And once again, for you to come out and, that the tweet and that letter, maybe that's what you wrote, was, it warms your heart a little, because with what you spoke of, that there are some trophies or, there are some laurels that are glittering in the cabinet, and then there are other wins that, the country and you hold special, and this is one of them. Wish her luck now for the...
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's wonderful.
It took her a while, but...
which is normal, I think,
Yeah.
to go through that heartbreak. You sometimes just need time. And I wish her the very best. I hope she makes it to LA and she does well in LA. But just the fact that she's committed herself to going back, I think, is wonderful. And I think is it's a story for every young Indian kid on what resilience is all about. And
if you write chapters, this is,
to not give up.
yours is a story for the ages, and I would think so is her somewhere down the line.
Absolutely.
I'm going to ask you something. Did you throw a tantrum during the last Commonwealth Games, that you didn't want to stay in the village in India when it was being held in Delhi?
No, not
what
at
was
all.
What was all of that about?
Why would I throw a tantrum? I stayed at the Olympics.
You did, right?
At the Commonwealth Games
So
village.
all of that was that, he came in, he didn't want to stay, he wanted a separate room. All of that was just hogwash?
I stayed with Bansher Singh, who was...
So that was just...
No, I think like a lot of other rooms, the room wasn't clean when I had gone in, and then it took a while for it to be cleaned up. But I stayed my entire time at the Commonwealth
did.
Games village in Delhi. It was for all the troubles that we had, at the end of the day, we did a good job, I think, of it.
We're going to host another one.
Yeah.
In 26.
2030.
Do you think...
26 is, I think, Glasgow.
Glasgow, yeah, you're right. 2030, yeah. So do you think India is prepared?
I think it's the games have obviously gone to Ahmedabad, where we're seeing a lot of investment being put into building the infrastructure, and there's a lot of intent of the government there to host big ticket events and to kind of use sport as their way of development. So I think I don't know what the size and scale of the Commonwealth Games will be in 2030. I think the games, the whole Commonwealth Games movement has gone through trouble, because we've not had hosts, and it is
Not so much wealth in the Commonwealth as
it's
well.
kind of a games that nobody wants. But I think we might end up seeing a smaller version of the games. At least that's what we are seeing in Glasgow. And I don't know what size and shape they will be in 2030. Will it be a full-blown event with every sport, with all Olympic sport, 20-30 disciplines, or is it a smaller, more compact sort of an event? But we've gotten the games, and I think now it is a matter of national pride that we ought to do a good job of it, and put our best foot forward to kind of make it successful.
No, we must do that. And but the larger question is, do you think to put in that much money on a sporting event is not less? It's expensive to hold the Commonwealth Games or any such big sporting event, rather than maybe invest in sports itself. Do you think which way would you look at it, or do you think both are necessary? Sometimes you need to do that as well.
I think if you look at it, if you look at the whole process, or the Commonwealth Games or a possible Olympics as just an event, then it's going to be a missed opportunity. But I think you have to use the event as a tool for development, as a way to develop sport. If in the course of this Olympic bid, or in the course of the Commonwealth Games, we also set up a budget and say that we're going to build an X amount of playgrounds across the country. We're going to start developmental development programs. Hosting the Olympics is not just about hosting the Olympics; it's also about hosting the Paralympics. So, can we use the games to make this country more accessible? So if you use it as a tool for development, I think then you're going to be able to use the games to really make meaningful change. But if you kind of just say that, oh, it's a good event that we will do for a couple of weeks, then I feel that it may be, then your point is right, that it is kind of massive expenditure without.
Did we do that during Delhi? At the back of Delhi?
I think at the back of Delhi it did have a positive impact on athletes because the Commonwealth Games in 2010, it was the first time when money started actually being put into athlete training. There were training camps organized across all sporting disciplines, which went into training for the Commonwealth Games, and we had a very good Commonwealth Games in Delhi where we won over 100 medals. And that legacy has carried on. So the funding didn't get cut in after the Commonwealth Games got over. It has progressively increased. So you can say that there has been a sort of a legacy that has been created thereof. Of course, we must look at sustainability. We must look at legacy planning much more carefully so that we make best use of this opportunity. If we do get this opportunity, this should be an opportunity which should leave a lasting legacy for an entire generation of young Indians. And how do we use these
to
massive
leverage it
events
for a larger good.
to leverage it
for a larger
so
good.
that legacy planning, my only advice to the people working on the bid and on the games would really be really focused on legacy which transcends sport. Use that sporting event as something which would be a tool which can develop many areas for the country.
For those who follow sports, or raising a bit of a question on the choice of venue for the Commonwealth, Ahmedabad usually is unusual choice in terms of to hold a sporting event because not many Olympic medalists have come from there. It's not really a sporting city of sorts. To do it maybe in a Kerala, Punjab, Haryana is different. But or do you think it doesn't quite matter? Because Ahmedabad has become now the nerve center of a lot of sporting events. The World Cup final, then the Commonwealth.
See, let's be realistic, and realistic, and the fact of the matter is, when you have to host an Olympic Games or an event of such magnitude, forget the Olympic, any event of such magnitude, you require political intent and political will.
That's true.
You can't do it without it, and currently,
So
as long as sport is developing, and as long as it does something for the youth of this country, and it helps develop sport and takes. Gives more opportunity to young kids in India to believe in their dreams and gives opportunities to them, I'm all for it.
We're hosting the Commonwealth. We're pitching for the Olympics, which is 2036. Do you think that's a little far-fetched? Do you think we're equipped to pitch in for Olympics?
I think it's a good thing we've gotten into that journey. I think the Olympic Games will come to India, and they must come to India because I think we are a young society, and I think the Olympic movement has a lot to offer to our youth, and so does India have a lot to offer to the Olympics. It's not just one way. I think it is simply a matter of timing on when they eventually will come over, whether it is 36, whether it is 40. I don't know. Of course, it is very competitive. It's a competitive field with several countries into it, and many factors come into play. On deciding the games, it is your past record which counts. Environmental issues make a difference. Geopolitics, geopolitics which come into play. So there are many elements which come into play. But what I know is that a decision is probably going to be taken in a couple of years' time. The process has kind of been paused for the moment. The IOC has paused it, but I think. I do, what I learn is that there is a lot of effort being put into the bid, and I wish it the very best.
I'm not saying it's correct, but there is an alternate thought that believes that maybe we should up our medal tally. We're in single digits and we're hosting the Olympic Games. Maybe focus on upping that tally before we pitch in for an event like that.
Or do it in parallel.
That's what I'm saying. It's not necessarily correct.
So I think doing it in parallel will be important, and I think I think everybody is well aware that we need to also improve our Olympic medal tally. I think the government is well aware of it, and there is effort being put in developing elite sport. As I said, the amount of support that comes to elite sport, it is at a world level, and probably India supports their athletes more than any country in the world in terms of money.
That's true.
So that is a good thing. But as I
But that
said,
is only after they reach a certain point.
but as I said early on, I think what really needs to be developed is that culture for sport, and that unfortunately there's no quick fix for that. That is something which requires sustained investment into your youth, and you cannot look at it as a transactional sort of an investment that we put in so much money and we expect something in return. This is something that you have to consistently do for over a decade, and perhaps a consequence of that will be that you will have more medals coming into play. But please don't look at it from just the aspect of medals. Invest in the youth of this country through on sport to improve the health of the youth of this country, and sport can play that meaningful role doing that. And once that investment goes down into that grassroots level, that is when I feel we will come close to reaching our aspiration.
And also hosting certain events, and you also, pointed out on the environmental aspect of it. We had the India versus South Africa match, which was abandoned because of smog. You had Messi when he came to India, and you've voiced your concern on another front where Lionel Messi's visit to India was concerned. But where the environment is concerned, because he came in and there were chants of AQI that resounded through the Delhi Arun Jaitley Stadium, and then abandoning a match. The AQI, as high as it is, where the air quality in this country is concerned, in most major cities. And we talk about, creating a cradle of sports, nurturing sport, culture. How is that even possible? Where do these kids go out? Where do they actually start playing? And these,
Of
how are
course.
we going to look at hosting the Commonwealth if
Yeah.
Ahmedabad's AQI is at where it is today?
I mean, there is for performance in sport, you require the right environment. I mean, it is an absolute prerequisite, and I really do hope that there's more work which is put into settling this matter. Again, there doesn't seem to be a quick fix sort of a solution.
Does it bother you how casually it's taken in this country?
I mean, of course. I mean, we're all breathing the same air, so it does get to us. So it gets to everybody. So I just really hope that there's more intent that is put into it. It really has to become a kind of a national drive of sorts to fix this matter, because I'm sure it can be fixed. It will take time, but it will take the collective effort of everybody. It will take the collective effort not just of government, and of course the government plays a massive role, but I think of society as well, to contribute maybe in certain small ways, but to contribute towards it. So there may be inconvenience for everybody, but it has to be something that we all take up as a national cause and contribute towards solving this matter, because it's not just about sport, it's about just the health of this country, it's the health of everybody, right? And it is obviously severely being impacted because of the quality of air.
You've expressed yourself on social media, but what was your main issue with Messi's visit?
No, I didn't have a issue. I think firstly it was a private event.
Right. The kind of monies that were spent on it.
Yeah, I just wanted to raise a larger societal issue, because, as I said, I am simply propagating the need to create a culture for sport in this country, right? I am somebody who wants sport to develop. I want athletes to develop. I want our country to be better in sport, and I am convinced.
It really does bother you.
It does,
because
because I really see that there is so much potential in this country, and I feel that it can only happen when we really create a better culture across the board for the sport. I think as a country, we don't love sport. As a society, we don't love sport. We love winning in sport. But that doesn't mean that we love sport. And I just want every Indian to fall in love with sport. And every Indian can only fall in love with sport is when they experience sport, when they have an opportunity to play sport, not to become an Olympic champion or a professional athlete or anything.
Just the joy of sport.
Just for the sheer joy of playing sport. Because I think It will just make our people richer. It'll just make our people better. I think we'll be a better race. We'll be a better society. We'll be more sporting. We'll have more empathy. We'll just be better, I think. And I think sport can play a very meaningful role in that. And I think that can only happen if, we all take sport, and that requires money, no? That requires investment. So that was a larger question that I was raising. It was just using that opportunity, to raise that question, and that is why I felt deeply about it. And that's why I voiced it. You know, everybody has a role to play. It's not every Indian has a role to play in sport to develop sport, and it is not just about, many people ask me, what can I do to contribute towards development of sport? And it's not always about writing a check and putting money in. So, sometimes my answer to people is just go and watch sport. So when the next state championship is happening, go and watch the next state gymnastic championships. Go and watch the next shooting championship. Learn about sport. Take your kids to watch sport. Experience sport. That is when everybody starts to kind of
No, it's not, because people say we're obsessed with cricket, but who goes and watches a Ranji match? The stands are empty.
Yeah.
Until and unless the Virat Kohli is actually coming into play.
Yeah.
But, no, I get... what made you write a book, Mr. Bindra?
Writing the book was therapy for me. It was a luxury that I had to go back in the past, because as
Did you enjoy it?
I loved it. I had a wonderful co-author in Rohit Brijnath, so I loved the process. Rohit is a great writer, and I loved writing it with him because he has great knowledge about sport, and he has always really gone into great detail about learning about the process of sport. So I loved that whole process, but it was just the luxury that I had to look back in time and look back in the past, let go of some baggages that I was also carrying, maybe even subconsciously, but just some loss that I had, I had just compartmentalized in somewhere in my brain, or some hard moment. Or
What's been the hardest moment, your hardest moment?
I think the greatest challenge has been...
Do you remember one moment?
I think the greatest challenge was just dealing with the self-doubt part, and there were plenty. There were plenty of them. Hard to pinpoint.
No, that's fine. No, I'm just, okay, I hear you there. You've also, what is the issue that Abhinav Bindra has with sporting bureaucracy and sporting officials? And I'll quote you from your book on that, because it's... And I laughed when I read that paragraph, which was, what you say, the irony of sports in our country is that officials don't assist, they hinder. Ignorance is worn without embarrassment, incompetence continues without interruption. What made you say that?
Well, that is what I felt. This book was written a few years ago, so things
a lot
have
has changed.
No,
Maybe
a
not
lot
a lot
has not
yeah.
changed. I think much of that remains relevant.
Is this also the reason why you always stand on the side of the athlete?
No, I try and stand on the right path
Fair
and
point.
on what I feel strongly about. But I think this everybody knows. I think to develop sport in this country, we need to put more professionalism needs to come into the governance of sport. There has been some effort that has been put into it. We have now a new law which just was enacted by Parliament, the Sports Governance Law, or whatever it's called, which is, I think, positive, and it puts together a framework which kind of hopefully moves the needle on the matter of sports governance. But to develop sport, we need professionalism, and we need the right people doing the right at the right place, doing the right thing, and athletes deserve that. And historically, it's something that we have suffered. And yes, there are many good people in Indian sport, many good administrators as well in Indian sport, but we can do far better, I think. And there is no reason why. And we have a lot of talent. It's not that running sport is not a rocket science at the end of the day. It's we can run large corporations. We have the best CEOs running the biggest corporations globally. Indians running them. Governing sport cannot be so complex. It is challenging, but it can be done. So I think improving the standard of sports governance, not just nationally, but down to...
I think that's more important. Nationally, we've still got it a bit, but...
but I see that requires capacity building. We have the people, but we need to empower them. We need to put together frameworks which kind of empowers these people to run high performance environments, and that is what sport
And
requires.
also to hold them accountable. What
Of course, yeah.
was it also why you wrote that you don't understand the culture of sports or athletes touching the feet of officials?
Now that you're getting into a
coaches?
touchy.
I'm quoting from your book.
Well, of course, we have that in
Uh-huh.
our culture and all of that. But I think what the point that I was trying to make.
No, because you say I've never touched anyone's feet
I
as an athlete. If I had, my life would have been easier.
possibly.
Why?
I mean, I think when in the era and the generation of sport that I grew up in was, I think it was not a relationship based on mutual respect, and I think sport is all about respect, and it is about mutual respect, and that is kind of the point that I was trying to make.
Okay, fine. You're going to just leave it at that. Well, it's self-deprecative, but I do agree with you because you also spoke of Indian journalism, and you say that for much of television journalism in India is nothing but an excitable dance with facts.
Yeah, this was written a few years ago. It's even become more relevant.
Like I said,
See, I was looking
self-deprecative,
into-
I'm laughing,
I was looking into the future, maybe. Yeah.
you agree?
Yeah, I think so.
Why do you say that?
I mean, you tell me.
I don't know. I'm just, I don't You're the one who's saying it. I'm asking
No, I
you.
just, I mean, what can I say? I think it's sometimes.
You don't watch the news
I don't.
at all.
No, my parents do, and so I do. Sometimes go into the room and they're watching the news, but I stopped watching.
Why?
I think for me, it's about reporting facts, and I think that's the job of journalists, and it's to report facts and not kind of drive a narrative. I think I just have a problem
You
with
could
that.
get into trouble with that, so we're not going to go there. But okay. All right, no,
That's
because
just
it's
my
like I said-
opinion.
No, that's fine. You're entitled to have your opinion, and I'm glad you're expressing your opinion. Did it take you 3 months to prepare for the India Today conclave?
Yeah.
3 months?
Yeah, the first
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
no,
the one where you
I was a
came.
very bad speaker, so I had to
Really?
prepare.
Don't come across as that. You're a very
no.
eloquent and a good speaker.
The one after Beijing. no?
Yes.
Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah.
I think you carried Beijing a little with you there. 3 months. What did you have to prepare?
I don't know. I was just simply not a good speaker. I still
Were
am
you
not.
nervous?
No, I was okay by the end of it. Preparation, no?
How many times?
I was
did
well
you,
prepared.
How many times did you do that? Where,
times.
facing the mirror.
Couple
of times.
Yeah. I don't remember now. I'm getting
Okay.
old.
How do you do? You have a shooting range here.
Yes, I do. This is where I trained for.
This
many
is where
years.
you train. When did you shoot last?
The last time I picked up a rifle was the Olympic final in 2016. I've never been back to a shooting range. I've been back once in Paris to watch because I was invited, so I did go back.
You've never picked up a gun since
no, I
2016.
don't
Somebody
even-
was obsessed with it.
I don't even own a rifle because I may have one, but that doesn't belong to me. It belongs to my nephew. But I don't own a rifle of my own. I've given them all away. Yeah.
How does that work when you've been completely obsessed with something for so many years?
I've moved
Then to
on.
not pick it up since 2016 for 9 years now, you haven't picked up a rifle.
I moved on in life. Sport taught
Doing
me one
what?
thing.
It's-
Sport taught me one thing, that one must live in the present moment. And
You-
while my past was great, it is the past, and those are memories.
You speak like it's an acrimonious X. It's not that, no?
Oh,
It's,
wo to ho gaya, ab khatam. Let's move on. Otherwise, I'm only going to live in the past. I have to explore. As I said, my introduction was I'm an explorer. If I am just consumed by my past, how will I explore?
I'm consumed with the fact that...
How
for
will I
s-
ever explore the current, and how will I explore the future if I'm just consumed with what I did 25 years ago?
Did you enjoy it?
Yes, I did. I enjoyed it. Of
You
course
really enjoyed it?
Yes.
Then why wouldn't you want to, like, once in a while pick it up and see, let me see if I... You don't even know how you shoot now, right?
I should be terrible at it. And the worst thing is that I have a comparison to when I was halfway good at it. So it would be
What,
simply...
10.7?
It would be simply very frustrating to go back now and to...
Did
to
you
shoot.
better 10.7?
Yeah. I mean, 10.7 what? Last Olympic gold medal shot was a 10.8. So
Okay.
fact checking you a little bit.
Oh, that's true. Okay, 10.8. Did you better that in your practice?
Yeah. I mean, of course, 10.9 is the maximum that you can get. And yes, you shoot that
Yeah?
sometimes, yeah.
Okay. What if somebody or coaching? You've never thought of that? For somebody who was,
No,
with so much precision, has worked in a
I would
career.
never. I would be a terrible coach. I simply
Has
don't.
someone asked you ever?
Yeah, yeah, but I do help. I mean, it's not that I'm totally disconnected with sport. My primary outreach to sport is through my foundation, by the way, where I support more than 250 athletes across sporting disciplines. I am happy to share experiences with them. I'm happy to share what I did well, what I didn't do so well, and it is up to these athletes to chart their own journeys. I simply don't have the patience to coach, B, the knowledge to coach, because you may have been a good athlete. That doesn't make you a good coach. You need to learn how to coach. You need to have the skills to coach. You need to have the requisite knowledge of different body types, different individuals, and I simply don't want to do that. Not as yet.
What are you doing
Maybe
now?
if I fail in everything else in life and I have no job left,
No,
I
I
may
don't
become a coach.
No, but so what are you doing now?
So, yeah, as I said, the
Yeah.
primary outreach to sport is my foundation, which takes about 50 to 60% of my time. It is something I am deeply passionate about. It is my way of giving back to sport. I talked extensively about trying to build a culture of sport in India. And in order to achieve that, my humble contribution has so far been to bring the International Olympic Committee's flagship educational program, which is their Olympic Values Education program, into India, where young kids get an opportunity to play sport, experience sport for the joy of playing sport, but most importantly, imbibing values through play.
Have you picked up any other sport?
No, let me finish.
Oh, you
There's
haven't finished.
no,
Okay,
no,
sorry,
no, no,
sorry.
no.
Please finish.
So we run this program in 5 states, in more than 60,000 schools. We've managed to
60,000
yes,
schools?
we've managed to get it into state curriculum of 5 states in this country, which has been
Which
quite a
states?
task. We started it in Orissa. We have full state integration in the state of Assam. We have it in all states, in all schools in the Union Territory of Chandigarh. We have started it in Meghalaya. We have started it in Telangana. We've signed up with Gujarat. And we are also getting into PM Shri schools hopefully soon, which is the national program. So I spend a lot of time doing this. The joy I have received personally and the meaning that I have received, seeing smiles on young people's faces, of seeing how sport is playing a positive role in their life, in their development, has been something that has brought me a tremendous amount of meaning. So I do that. I do that very passionately. Of course, in order to do that, I have to earn a living, put food on the table. I run a business in transitional health, where we run transitional rehab centers for orthopedic care, for neurological care, for cardiac rehab. We also do a certain amount of work for profit in the area of sports medicine and sports science, setting up centers, world-class centers on that. So that is what I do at the moment. Yeah.
Have you picked up another sport?
No, but
Maybe play tennis or something like that?
no, I haven't picked up another sport, but I from not doing any much movement for 20 years of my life, I love movement now. So I dedicate an hour to an hour and a half of a day just simply moving. So whether it be going for a walk, whether it being do any sort of movement, whether it being simply going to the gym, whether it being doing any physical activity, an hour a day is what I do. I haven't picked up another sport.
Did you enjoy the solitude of the sport that you played, or were you lonely?
No, I wasn't lonely. You get addicted to it.
But isn't it because that's all you have?
But then you get
The
used to it.
stillness of it.
The stillness is beautiful. Huh?
No, I'm sure it can
The
be,
stillness
but-
is amazing.
But it can also be very lonely there.
I kept myself entertained with my own self. No, I think I was comfortable in my own skin and being with myself. I never felt lonely. No.
No? Because, I was reading Andrew Agassi, and that's what he says. He says, because it's an individual sport, everything is on you, everyone's just looking at you, and it gets really, really lonely being there.
I was okay with it.
You were okay with
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I was quite comfortable.
Not that you enjoyed it. You enjoyed it.
I loved my sport. I didn't love competing in my sport, but I simply loved the process of my sport. I loved executing my skill.
Why do you not like competing? I don't know why we're going back to this, but why don't you not like competing?
Because I was A, not athletic, B, I was it's not competitive. I was not competitive as a kid. I hate, till date, I hate the idea of competition.
You hate confrontations.
Competition.
And confrontations? That you can
I
get
can
into.
come back to confrontation. That can be another topic where I can talk to you about my relationship with my coach. But yeah, I hated the concept of competition, and because I was never competitive naturally. So I had to learn myself to toughen myself because competition is tough.
That is tough.
Competition is a tough world to be in, and so I never really, and with my whole history of self-doubt, so then when you go into a competitive arena, you're kind of eaten up alive. So I never really enjoyed competing. I loved my sport. It was amazing. I loved training. I loved competing. I loved training. I mean, yeah. You know what my favorite day in my sports career is? It never came. It's not the gold medal or any victory that I had. My favorite day in my sports career came very close to this time of the year, 31st of December. It happened really in that building right there, my gym, where I was to do 100 sit-ups. And my relationship with physical exercise wasn't the best. I had this really tough trainer from Australia who, after 95 sit-ups, miscounted and said, you're done for the year. I looked back to him, into his eyes, and I said, no, I have 5 more to go. And I came out of that gym, and that day has stuck with me. The amount of satisfaction I had and the respect I had for my own self, to not find shortcuts, and to try and be the best that I could. Yeah, that is my favorite day in my sports career.
You might have given us a promo quote with that, but well, it's fascinating because for someone who's won the Olympic gold to say that, but it is fascinating. But it's you. Do you have any regrets, Mr. Bindra, when you look back?
No, I generally have an absence of regret, but I think if you were to tell me what could I do differently, if I were to restart this journey, I would be kinder to myself. That is for sure. I would have more balance in life. I think I put too many eggs in one basket. I would have nurtured the human before the athlete. I think I just dehumanized my pursuit for far too long. And that, I believe, would have enabled me to be a better competitor. Because everything was on the line. Because my self-worth was dependent on where my name would show up on the ranking list of the competition the next day, that I think limited me. So that is something that I would do differently.
You do differently.
I don't know if I would have succeeded, but I would do differently.
One would think that you were much older, but you're very young.
I don't feel it always, but yeah, I'm relatively okay. Yeah.
No, but you're really, a lot of, that's what I'm thinking, because you speak with the kind
I'm
of
an old
experience,
soul.
retired,
I'm
all
an
of
old
that.
soul.
No, you're what, 42, 43 yourself. That's fairly young.
Yeah.
And
Maybe
okay.
I'll become, one of my favorite journalists is Sharda Ugra. And, in one of
Yeah.
my interviews to her, I still remember I said that, when I'm 50, I'll be wild.
You'll be wild.
Yeah, it's printed in India Today. She was writing for India Today. So
No, I had her on my show yesterday.
So,
What
really?
does wild mean?
I don't know. I mean, let's see what I will be at 50. But
What is your
have a
definition
quote-
of wild?
I have a quote in her, I think post Beijing, in her interview with me, because she was one of the first people who interviewed me. I said to her that when I would be 50, I will have long hair and I will be wild. I don't know why I said
Well,
that.
you're not like far away from
we have still,
You're
we're
a
getting
while
there.
to go, but are we close to the long hair? And
No, not
no?
really. But we have 7-8 years to go.
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm saying. So what is your definition
take
of wild?
much to
Just
get
long
there.
hair is wild.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I'm still exploring.
Where do you see yourself at 50 now? That was then.
I don't know. Really, I'm often asked, I'm really living it. I'm living my life in the current moment, in my current day. My sports career didn't allow me to spend much time with my family because I was traveling a lot, and I was away for 250 days of the year, competing for 20 odd years or training. So the last few years have given me an opportunity to spend more time with my parents, which I'm absolutely loving. I spend time with my father, who still works. So we go to the office together. So I enjoy that process. Of course, I spend time with my mum, I spend a lot of time with my niece and my nephew. So I'm enjoying that part of my life, but I don't know what I will be in the course of the next 5, 7 years. I would like to continue to create, to make contributions. I would like to contribute to sport in meaningful ways, which I'm doing in my own humble way. I will continue to put energy and time and effort into doing that, into helping others, into helping more athletes, into sharing experiences, and that is what I can maybe create some impact down in the process. That is what I would attempt to do. But one thing, if you say what do I miss from my sports career, and yes, there is something I do miss from my sports career. When I was an athlete, yes, I was obsessed, but I was so ambitious. To set a goal as a 12-year-old boy in the mid 90s that I want to win a gold medal at the Olympics and do nothing else but pursue that dream was being ambitious. And I'm not as ambitious at the moment. So that is something that I miss.
Well, but then, it's a little rich to say I'm not as ambitious. You've already won the Olympic gold. It's
Yeah, but
fine.
that's
You've
past.
done. You've
So
done
then,
it.
yeah.
To do it once in a lifetime
Yeah, but that time's passed.
is a
So,
rarity.
yeah, that's gone. That's over. Let's live in the here and now and try and do something meaningful
Now.
today and try and do something meaningful tomorrow. And that ain't going to be all about my past. That's great and that's wonderful memories. And of course, I'm proud of it.
But that's that. You want to keep it there. Have you been able to maintain friendships?
Yes.
You have friends?
Yes, I have school friends. A lot of my competitors who were not my friends when we competed have
Give me a
become
name.
Niccolò Campriani, for example, triple Olympic champion. The only time I managed to beat him was at the Olympics in 2008. He beat me the rest of the time. A very good friend of mine. We bonded on our common challenges that we had in sport and our insecurities that we faced while competing. So, very good close friend of mine. So a lot of my competitors have become friends, and I continue to have a lot of meaningful contact with my coaches, for example. I visit my coaches every year, at least once a year, sometimes twice a year. So we do that. One of my coaches, I was coming to it, was a coach. His name is Uwe. Is a person I had a very difficult relationship with as an athlete. He was probably the only person in the world I hated, because Uwe was the person who always told me things I didn't want to hear. He was my greatest critic. He used to make me cry, and I used to pay him money almost to make him cry. But that relation. But I continued to work with Uwe because Uwe brought a lot of value, even despite the conflict. So Uwe and I are good friends. We stay in touch. We don't talk anything about sport. We talk about the world. We talk about politics. Uwe gives me stock market advice. So we.
Does he tell you you could have gotten another one?
No,
London,
no.
terrible.
No, we don't talk about.
He
sport.
doesn't talk about that.
Sport is over for him. Sport is also over for me, at least as an athlete.
That you've made very clear. Can I ask you a personal question?
Yes.
A lot of fans of Abhinav Bindra are wondering that, and I'd like to ask, because a lot of, male journalists who sit on this side and question female athletes sometimes ask, when are you going to settle down? That proverbial question, stereotypical, as cliche as it gets.
I think it's a good question to ask, and I think I should settle down, and I think I will settle down, hopefully in the course of the next few years. I think as I get older.
You're talking about marriage?
Yes. I mean,
no, I believe you can settle. You don't need to be married to settle
correct.
down.
I mean, as I think, as I start to age, I think companionship is more important, and I think it's necessary. So, yeah, probably soon.
Soon, huh?
Yeah.
All right, okay. We're going to leave it at that. But a parting shot, what you've learned, how you look back?
No, I think sport has been my greatest teacher. It taught me a thing or two about winning, but sport really taught me how to lose. Sport taught me a lot about integrity, which I hold dear to me. Sport taught me a lot about respect, about learning to respect people, about respecting rules. But sport, importantly, taught me how to respect my own self, And sport basically has left me in good stead to play the larger game, the game called life. So,
If you could give yourself a 23-year-old Abhinav Bindra advice, would it be?
I don't know. I think, as I said already,
Yeah,
being
be
more
kinder to
kinder to
yourself.
yourself. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, being kinder to myself. So.
Thank you, Mr.
My
Bindra, for
pleasure.
taking the
My
time
pleasure.
out, and thank you, for speaking with us in the manner in which you have. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much. Thank you.
Thank you.